How's everybody doing? All right.
You went back and you looked at what happened on Thursday night. There were some good drives and then there were some lapses. What do you attribute some of those lapses to?
I'm just doing the small things. The small things. Got to take care of the details in your work. Whether it's setting edges in the run game, staying down on the backside of those runs and things of that nature, handling the over routes and the crossing routes, it's things that are everyday normal stuff that we got to continue to play those things correctly and consistently and coach them at that way too.
The last two teams you faced, though, there's a lot of eye candy that comes along with those offenses. Dallas is a tough offense, but is it a little bit more maybe straightforward in how they play?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely very dangerous. They present a lot of issues because of their talent, and they execute at a high level. But definitely there's, San Francisco presents challenges with emotions and things of that nature, so they're different in how they go about doing it, but both of them obviously very, very operating at a very high level.
What is the biggest challenge with that?
Obviously, the quarterback is playing at a high level, so you have to find ways to be able to disrupt him. Explosive players all over the place. Obviously, with CD and Gallup and Cooks has obviously always been a guy that can take the top off the defense, and Pollard is the explosive back. Even the tight end, Ferguson's a good player. So they definitely present their challenges. We got to continue to practice and prepare and get ready for this matchup.
When it comes to run fits, what's the difficulty? Is it recognition? Is it the discipline and staying there?
It's the discipline. It's the discipline. Like the things that happened that got us in that game, is just the defensive end staying down. Not jumping up the field worried about playing for play action passes and boots. Those are things, there's discipline in how you teach the techniques and you can respond to those plays. But the number one thing is you got to have the discipline to honor the run game, take care of that, and then the other things we'll take care of later on. But once you give up one that like explosive early in the game, then they feel like they got something and they stay with it. So it's the discipline of doing right. It wasn't a fit where a guy didn't know his fit or missed a fit. It's just the discipline of staying down and doing right, so when the ball cuts back, you're there to make the play.
You see some of Brian Schottenheimer's influence on what they're doing there?
A little bit of, some of the stuff like the RPOs and things like that, they add into it. I know Shotty really liked that stuff here. But there's a lot of Coach McCarthy, looking at old Green Bay film from when he was there. There's a lot of carryover to that.
What's the teaching point for Witherspoon on the touchdown?
That one right there, Rush can help out with a lot of those particular issues, and obviously we just need the post safety should be over there to be able to help him out. The nickel in that situation is not on his own. Anytime you're in a zone coverage, you have guys that are around you to be able to help out. So a lot of facets. Obviously pass rush, post safety, all those things are all a factor in that play.
The pass breakup
that was an outstanding football play. Absolutely, that was a heck of a play. So just like I said, like anytime, like when a bad play happens, there's never one guy that's a culprit. There's a lot of different things. Even we always say, like, whether it's coaches, players, we're all in it together. We got to coach something better. Obviously we got to play better, but we're all in it together to get that done.
We saw a big play out of Jordyn Brooks, obviously the touchdown. But just overall, where have you seen him grow in this situation?
Jordyn Brooks.
Yeah.
Just, obviously, just his awareness and feel for the game and where certain things are coming. A play may get you here or there, but the growth that you look for in an experienced player, as he's played a lot of football that he has, is, are you cutting down on those plays because of the awareness of seeing it? You're going to get got sometimes. It's going to happen. But just consistently seeing stuff and pointing out pre-snap is the part in his game he's expanded and gotten a lot better at.
The way he got after the defense on the sideline, I think in the first quarter, have you seen him do that?
Yeah, you can tell when he's pissed, and he does it in practice, but I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. When things aren't going right, it should be addressed, and everybody has a hand in it and part of it, so there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
What do you see from the team in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, it's just I would say that in these last few games, say like the Washington game, the Rams game, we played our butt off for the first three quarters, and then the fourth quarter we give them some plays and have some lapses of where things you want to have consistency to doing it right, and it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth of how you finish the game, because I believe it was like the Rams game, the first three quarters they had like 123 yards of offense, but then it's the finish. Same thing, Washington, they had like 230 going into the fourth quarter, and they got about 100 off of two goofy plays. So there's a lot of good things going in the fourth quarter finishes. So the biggest thing is just do right longer, as we always preach. Don't try to make stuff up. Don't go out there and do something crazy. You've been playing good, consistent ball, stay the course, and we finish the game the right way. You feel a lot different about the final result or outcome of the game. So I think that's just part of the growth and maturation process with in certain aspects.
How aware are you of the
Anytime, the guy's he's a really, really good football player. So, anytime you lose a guy like that, you definitely feel it. But there's a lot of good players that we still have playing for us too. The whole defense is not based around one individual. So, yes, it obviously hurts to lose a guy of that caliber, but other guys got to step up and be ready to play too.
How do you feel about other pass rushers in the last few games?
It's been a struggle. Things start changing. You start off hot in pass rush, teams acclimate and they adjust to what you're doing. Okay, the pass rush was rolling. We were a top, 3 or 4 team in the league in sacks and pressures and getting after people. Well, what starts happening is, teams will, all the options. You change the snap counts. You move the pocket. You work more play actions. You get chips with the tight ends and the backs and the wide receivers. And all those things come in. The guys have to understand, in the beginning to understand it, it's a sign of respect when that stuff happens because they respect what you're able to do. Now you have to respond, and we got to coach and put those guys in a position to have answers for when those things are happening. But it's an adjustment because it can be really, really frustrating for a young player. Frank has been a great guy to help those guys through that because when Frank got chips early in his career, it frustrated the heck out of him. A lot of times if you got to give a guy a plan, but it can neutralize a really good pass rusher when that stuff happens. But he grew through it and he got a lot better and he learned how to work with the guys around him, D tackles around him, to have answers for that. That's why he and Jaren paired together really, really well. So that's something that the guys as a whole have to continue to improve at, and we got to help them.
When you blitz, especially defensive backs, how much variance do they get in lanes and slots?
There's times that the patterns can come from to be inside. Sometimes it's outside. A lot of that stuff will vary based on the game plan, protection-wise, and the things they like to do that could cause us some issues. So the patterns change weekly.
So within the play, do they have a variance? Or
they can always adjust, just being a football player. If they happen to end up sliding the protection into a blitzer, we never want a guy, the term I use is don't run into a parked car. You can adjust and alter your pass so that way you can find the lane, the crease to go and find the quarterback. That's what Spoon did. I think it was the second play or the first or second play of the game against the Rams. They slid the protection into it. He found his lane to go insert himself, and he went to go make a play.
is there some running into parked cars against the 49ers?
Now you're going to use my line, not going against me.
Yeah.
No, and some of the blitz patterns, things like that, yes. You try to set your fronts and show things to get directions, to get protections directed the way you want to. It doesn't always happen that way. So you got to give guys the freedom to be able to adjust accordingly so they can find ways to get home. So got to continue working those aspects of our game. The biggest thing he provides is a guy that can collapse the pocket, get the quarterback off the spot and get him on the move. So obviously just working that part of it, keep working on the transitions and get him on the same page with working D-line games with the defensive ends is a big piece of that to get better at.
Anything else?
Reek. You had to talk to coach and the trainers about that. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. All right now.